What is happening? It is the Poke News Now podcast. I'm one of your hosts, N64 Josh. DJ, what is going on?
Hey, this is really exciting. I have not seen the light of day for 3 days straight. I've been staring at a tiny screen playing Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Actually, I've been playing on the TV. So.
There you go. Daniel, how are you doing?
Also pretty good. I had a sick day around the time that Scarlet came out, so I got to play it for most of one day, and then what?
A sick day.
I got the black lung pops, right?
I got the Poke Lung, dude.
Yeah.
I just like blocked out my calendar. I was like, I'm gonna do work for a couple hours in the morning, but then around lunchtime, I just had the rest of the day free for Scarlet and Violet, so it was nice.
That's awesome. So this episode, we're just going to talk about first impressions. That's really all we're going to cover. It's going to be basically spoiler free for the most. That's kind of the goal here. So hopefully there's not. I don't know. I'll tread lightly. Like I don't know. Well, like yeah, I'll follow your guys' lead here because I just don't want to say something that would be a spoiler. But DJ, why don't you kick us off? You've spent the most time with it and are the furthest along. What are your first impressions?
Yeah, so I've done 5 gym battles out of the 8. I've done all 5 of the Titan battles out of 5, and I've done 3 or 4, I think 4 team star battles too, maybe 5. Done a lot of those. It's hard to tell, but I basically kind of shot around doing a little bit of everything. But once I realized the rewards, I'm going to try to say spoiler free, the rewards you get from all 3 of the activities, I wanted to finish the Titan battles. And so I fed XP candies to a Lucario and had him just one man muscle the show down to unlock everything from the 5 Titan battles. So it was an interesting strategy. It was pretty brutal. And I'm not sure I'd do it again. I feel like I was trying to make, without spoiling anything again, I'm trying to make it easier to explore the world, right? You get rewards that allow it easier to explore the open world. And I was trying to get to that to make the rest of the game easier to traverse and explore. But yeah, how about you guys? How far did you guys get?
Daniel, take it away.
Yeah, so far I've only done 2 gym battles. I think probably the 2, I think by chance I ended up picking the 2 that were the correct level for me, because I know you can do them in any order. And they were both pretty decent, I would say. The gyms feel very I don't want to say lackluster, but just like they don't feel like traditional gyms is I guess what I would say. Like they're very strange. They're almost more online with like an Alolan like gym trial, and then you just have a battle at the end.
Yeah, I think so. I kind of agree with you.
Yeah. And then I've done 1 Titan, which was the one from the trailer, if you guys have seen that. And that's been really the only like story content that I've done. Everything else I've just been walking around catching Pokemon.
What about you, Josh?
Yeah, for me, it's I was off and on with it all weekend. I did a stream that was controlled by chat, so they get to pick the games I played. So when there was a downtime or like nobody had bought a time slot, that's when I was playing Pokemon. So I jumped in the night it came out for the first hour. The pacing for the first hour, I was like, God, this is really kind of slow. Like I hope like a lot of reading, a lot of tutorials, and I get it. It's open world. It's a new experience for that series. But it did take a while. After that, I was just kind of like, I was really enjoying myself. Yes, there's the pop in. The conversations online have been very, for the like relatively negative as far as the way the game has been running. But I was really enjoying myself. I've done 1 Titan, 1 gym. I feel like it's almost like a casual gamer's dream come true, and I really didn't feel a lot of pressure. I know, like talking to Crawler from NPC, he is flying through the game, like just flying through the first part. And I mean, this is the way I played Brilliant or Shining Pearl. I couldn't put it down. When I wasn't streaming and stuff, I was grabbing my Switch out of the dock and playing handheld. Like I couldn't put it down. I'm taking a little more. I'm taking this one a little bit slower, but I enjoy the pace. I enjoy the way it's going. My only thing I really miss is the ability to not have to interact with the Pokemon from Arceus, where you could just throw the ball.
Mhm.
That mechanic I had really gotten used to and liked. But after playing this for a little while, I'm back on board with it, and it's not too bad.
I would say that I agree. The first hour was a little slow, but it usually is in all Pokemon games these days. Not back in the day, but these days it is. It used to be like 10 minutes of tutorial and then you're going, But now it's like an hour because they're trying to make it more story driven. I think with cutscenes and dialogue that you have to read through, and which I thought was interesting. I was so excited to play this game that I was okay with it, and I just kind of pushed through it. And then it definitely opens up, though. You guys are at the point now where, like, once you get to the school, the trainer school, but it's actually like an academy that you spend a lot of time at throughout the game, I guess. So in this game, it's a little different. But yeah, once you get there, it opens up the whole world. You can do whatever you want. Kind of like you were saying, Dan. You can do whatever you'd like, but there are stuff that's like supposed to be your level, right? And I think 2 quick tips that made it easier for me really fast that I wish I'd known day one was if you open your map and click in the right thumbstick, it orientates it north, south, east, west, and keeps it that way. So that's clicking in your right thumbstick will fix your map for you, because that map is a mess when you open it. I don't know who designed that, but I could not tell heads or tails what was going on. And then
it's funny you mentioned that, because Crawler was saying the same thing. He's like, why isn't the map orient? Like, why? I don't know where I am right now. Like, what is happening here? So it's very interesting to hear you say that, and it's also nice to know that that's the solution, is just to click that stick in. That's very handy.
I wish it was reversed though. I wish you clicked it to undo the map. I don't know why they have it, because I couldn't tell where you're going in an open world. But regardless, I mean, speaking of where you're going, the other thing is if you talk to the Pokestops, they tell you what your next objective is.
Yeah, I've noticed that I haven't actually asked them that, but I've noticed that it was an option, and I assume they'll just tell you whatever the next thing closest to your level is or something.
It is.
Or hopefully that's what it is.
Yeah, one time it had me go backwards because I missed something. And then one time it had me go forward because I did something out of order, and that was my fault. And when I did that, it put me way under level. I was 10 levels under what it was telling me to do, and I just got wiped, So I had to go back and grind a bunch to catch up. But I think that was my fault for trying to do some stuff out of order. There are guides on.
I keep running into the situation where I'll be off doing something else, and then because you can do anything you want in any order, I'll start bumping up against the level cap, where if I level up my starter or my team one more time, they'll start not listening to me, and I'm like, oh crap, I gotta go find a gym like yesterday.
Right? Yeah.
And it's weird to me. I feel like maybe for the type of game they were trying to make, maybe they should have either raised those caps so that you don't necessarily have to rush to a gym every so often. Because the first gym, when you get the first badge, it bumps it up to 25, and the next one is only 30. So it's like, okay, well now I have 5 more levels of playtime before I have to go find another gym, which is not a lot.
The first gym is a bug type gym. I'm not going to spoil the level caps for anybody, because I think that's kind of a spoiler. But I do have all the levels and all the things written down, because I found a guide online, and I just wrote down quick notes what the next objective is and what the levels are, so I can quickly skim. So I know where I'm going, at least. That's all I want to know. I don't want to know what they have, or I don't want to ruin the story, but I need to know where I'm going, and I felt like it wasn't doing a good enough job directing me. So.
Yeah, I would like for there to be a little bit more direction to it, honestly, for it to be even if they were just hey, this is the order that you're going to want to do these gyms in, or something like that. Because I just finished the second gym, and walked a block outside that gym to there's a Team Star outpost or camp that's literally right next door. You can see it from the town that the gym is in. And I walked over there, and just some random Team Star grunt standing out in front has Pokemon that are, I think, 10 full levels higher than the gym leader had. And I'm like, why are you not why are you here? That's weird.
Yeah. There's the levels, you just be cruising along, and all of a sudden you hit an area and the levels are 30 levels higher than you, and you're like, what I crossed over a river. You know, I think they try to keep you from crossing rivers.
You're on the wrong side of the river, bro.
But it didn't stop me, man. I was like testing the limits. I'd like sprint and like leap and try to get over spots I wasn't supposed to get over.
Yeah.
So again, my fault for pushing the limits.
And then regretted it.
Yes, exactly. Another thing too is like because of the level cap, like though there is no the way the levels are, if you accidentally talk to a trainer, because they're optional in this game, if you accidentally talk to one in the wrong area, there's no getting away. He will kill your entire team and you will go back to a Poke Center. There's no like run away. There's no oops. You know, if you accidentally just click a trainer one time and he's 12, 20 levels higher than you, you're done. So and I've done that too. So
how have you guys been feeling about the I guess we shouldn't talk specifics, but how have you been feeling about the new Pokemon? Like, generally speaking.
Yeah, we can put a little tiny spoiler warning out. We can talk some Pokemon here. You know, the Pokédex has been out for a while. You know, and we're not showing pictures of them. So what you guys have a favorite one you've seen so far? Just new ones?
I really like what Paldean Wooper evolves into. I think it's my favorite one so far. He's cool. He's just adorable. I'm a big fan. Just big round boy.
He seems pretty competitive too. He's got really high HP.
Yeah.
So he looks pretty good. Yeah. What about you, Josh?
The problem is I don't know all their names. So forgive me, but like
we'll play Who's That Pokemon?
Yeah, we'll play Who's That Who's That Pokemon? He's like this adorable little teddy bear. He's orange.
Oh, Palmy?
Yes, that's the
new
one.
Pikachu for this generation. Okay.
Yeah. Except he has like a full evolution line, which I think is really exciting. Because normally the Pikachu clones are just like, here's Togedemaru, he is what he is, right? So I think
okay, so that's kind of what he is considered like a Pikachu clone, more or less. And they've done this. This is news to me, right? So bear with me because of my lack of Pokemon knowledge. But yeah, I immediately threw him on my team. I was like, and I had a Pikachu from the mystery item, which you guys have, I think, until February 28th. Make sure you go. Just check via online, and they'll send you that Pikachu. But I didn't throw Pikachu in. I kept this guy in for my as far as for my electric, and yeah, he's been pretty cool. The thing that's funny for like I think what I enjoy the most is the size of the different Pokemon. Like the little there's these little green guys with like eggs on their heads, like and or it looks like a cracked shell, like a helmet almost, and they just look super pissed and running across the road all the time and running right into me, and I'm just like, these guys, this is hilarious. Like it really has me thinking of the future of the series and how like this is a really good evolution for the Pokemon series in my mind. And I think the beauty of it is I think like probably next December, we will probably see some remake again. Right, that'll probably be like Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, or the Let's Go series.
Next up would be Black and White, right? So
I think all for that. I think Black and White are some of the best games, honestly. So I'd be very excited for that.
But if they kind of just stick to the same formula, but give us some like semi-updated graphics like they did, I think it's a great structure moving forward, especially for somebody like me who one, didn't experience a lot of these games, but two, wants to experience them with the community, right? One of the things that's got me the most excited about this game is I'm going to start completing like I want to start filling up Pokemon Home. And so between all the games that I can do that on Switch, and I know there's some like 3DS games and stuff that work as well, but I want to do the majority of it on stream. I want to get as much community focused as I can with this game. And I have still I got so excited I thought I saw a shiny because it was all shiny, and it wasn't. I as far as I know, the only shiny I've ever caught is a Cubone, and so I'm excited for to catch my first shiny within Violet. So
we should talk shinies for a second. I have not seen any in this game yet.
I don't think I've seen any, but it's hard to tell sometimes.
It is so hard to tell, and I keep accidentally running into stuff because all these little tiny Pokemon are running around. They're like ankle height.
Like Smoliv. I've just been walking through a field and run into like 4 or 5 Smolivs and just like, all right, I guess I gotta punch this little boy now.
Yes. Okay,
I'm not gonna not take this experience. Sorry, bud.
My first shiny was, aside from like giveaways from like GameStop and stuff, my first one was Gyarados on the Lake of Rage because he's guaranteed.
Right.
My first full odds shiny was what's Mudstale? What's the baby Mudstale? The first evolution.
Mudspray.
Wait, is it
Mudbray? Yeah. It was
Okay.
Mudbray in Sun
That's
and Moon.
the donkey looking thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I'm learning.
Yeah, that was my first ever full odds one, like 1 in 5,200 and whatever, you know. So, what about you, Daniel?
Well, probably my first was also that Gyarados, but I think my first full odds one would have been in Ekans in Heart Gold and Soul Silver. And I didn't really care about Ekans up until that point, but I was like, well, you got to be on the team. And then I went through the whole game with him, and now I really love Arbok. I think it's a fantastic Pokemon, especially if
that's a cool one. So you guys probably know this, but Ekans is snake backwards, and Arbok is cobra backwards.
Yeah.
So, cool trivia tip. Since we're not doing a trivia segment tonight, I have to, you know.
Yeah. I have been really enjoying because one of the things that I've seen people, cause I've been watching streamers play it, is sometimes there'll be a shiny just like in the background and they won't necessarily see it because the world is surprisingly dense with Pokemon. The landscape is kind of bland in a lot of areas, but Pokemon wise, it's very dense where you'll see like a herd of Tauros or whatever, or there'll be like a flock of birds just like sitting on the ground. And they're not doing the thing that really annoyed me from the previous game where there would be like a Wingull and it would just have its wings out and not be moving at all. And it would just like spin and spot. Like they'll actually be landed on the ground. And then when you walk up to them, they'll start like flying away. And I think that's really great. It's really cool how, and obviously the performance has been an issue, but I've really been enjoying how much more like a real RPG this feels like, just because you can see all the Pokemon out and it feels like even though they're not necessarily interacting, it feels like they are actual creatures in the world, which helps a lot for me. And I've been really enjoying that. I was wondering what you guys were thinking about just like the map that you've been through.
I'd love to talk about the map. So the good thing is what you said. The world feels alive. It feels full of Pokemon. It's open world. The bad thing is, I'm going straight for the bad, is the cities. The cities are absolute garbage. I feel like they didn't even try to finish them. As you guys go explore them, you can't go inside any buildings, any houses, anything. In every other Pokemon game ever made, you've always been able to walk into random strangers' houses and steal their stuff. And you can't do that in this. You click the door and a menu pops up. And that's it for every single
for like
building.
Stores.
Everything though, they're all of them. And people's houses, you can't even go in at all, no matter where you go throughout the whole game. I feel like they cut that out to save time in development.
That has been something that's been irritating me, specifically with stores. I guess I didn't really notice it for the houses, but you're right. I don't think I've been inside a building other than the school for like the last 4 hours. But the when I've been trying to buy new clothes because I really don't like the school uniform that my kid's wearing. Mm-hmm. And in that main town, it's like there's one store that only sells socks, and then there's another store that only sells hats. And it's like, just let me buy a new outfit. I don't want to go around to all these different stores and try to find different clothes. I still haven't found one that sells like a decent pair of pants or like a new jacket or something, right? So I've just been walking around in the school uniform in a pair of flashy socks because that's all I could find.
Now I've already said how far I've made it in the game, and I still am running the school uniform. But I've checked every city, but all I found was like shoes, gloves, backpacks, helmets, things like that. So I look like a motorcycle dude now with boots and a motorcycle helmet on.
You joined Team Star.
And I grouped up with friends online, and they're like, look, it's the Mandalorian. I'm like, yes, that's what we're going for.
That's pretty good.
That is great. Yeah, I'm not too thrilled with the way I look right now, but I haven't really been trying to upgrade that. I spent all my money on Pokeballs because honestly, for me, I love just going out and capturing those things. Like that's where I have a ton of fun. And so I'm just like, well, I'm just gonna level for a while, and then I'll go and do a task, and then I'm gonna explore it's crazy because I mean I played this game when I was 19 or 20. I think was the first time I played Pokemon Yellow. I think I might have been was either 18 or 19, I guess. And the like I enjoyed it and I remember it and it was fun. I played all the way through. I didn't want to put it down. And but there's something just like super relaxing about going out. Like, oh, it's almost tough when I'm streaming because I'm like, man, I think I'm getting tired. Like, you know, because
Yeah.
I'm having such a good time with the with just such a relaxing time. And then I'm like, yo, I need to wake up here. So I'll pop in Mario Kart or something just to get the blood pumping again. But it I just love that aspect of it. And I love that we're not forced to just walk around this linear path. It's like right off the bat. Like the one thing with Shining Pearl is I flew through the story in hopes of starting to catch Pokemon, and then I was like, I got fatigue at this point. And then after that, Arceus came out, and I played for like half the game, and then I was like, I got fatigue again, and I didn't come back to Arceus for like 7 months, and then finally completed it, and so there you know, that's what I'm just really enjoying that aspect of just playing how you want and not being forced on a linear path. I think it's a great evolution of the series.
One of my favorite things about open worldness was in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. After you beat the game, you could ride on the back of Latios and Latias, and you could fly in the air, airborne, around the whole map and land anywhere you wanted. And it felt very open world to me. And one of my favorite things after beating the game was going back and finding all the stuff I missed, completing the Pokédex and finding the hidden TMs, and I think there was HMs at that point too, in the caves and stuff. And I think they had Megastones hidden in the caves, and you had to go collect them all. So going back and finding all that stuff, I played for hours and hours post game on that game because it kind of felt open world to me. I'm hoping that they give us that ability to fly in this game, like to straight out fly over the world. So I don't know yet.
Yeah, because we've definitely seen like gliding in the trailers, but I don't know if it's just if you know at some point you'll be able to just straight up fly. I mean, I feel like at minimum the number of different places you can fly, because you can fly immediately in terms of like fast traveling. You can fast travel to any Pokestop, or I guess they're still called Pokestops, but they're like Pokemon centers that you've run into, or even a lot of the landmarks like light towers and stuff, or lighthouses. So it's pretty easy to get around. It's just, you know, because right now I can't like cross a river. I'm kind of stuck in certain locations, short of, I guess, there's probably some way that I could glitch it across, because like, I mean, like everyone has been saying, the game is pretty jank at the moment. Like there's a lot of issues with it, which doesn't bother me too much. There's one scene right at the beginning where you go to the school and you see all your classmates sitting around, and like 10 of them are doing the exact same animation of like tapping their desk and kicking their feet, and they're doing it at about 3 frames a second. And the combination of them doing it in perfect sequence, like perfect unison, and having it be really low frame rate does make them look like an army of haunted mannequins. And I didn't need that in my life. It was not something I was thrilled about. But most of the time when you're out like in the field, you'll notice like, you know, oh hey, that thing over there is moving way slower than it is, and you'll get closer to it and the frame rate will pick up. But it's not like overly distracting, or maybe I just like have lower expectations for Pokemon just because like Arceus was kind of the same way. But I found that it hasn't been super distracting, but it also has not been good. You know what I mean?
The phone, the Mario. I was like, is it my phone? Is that my phone? Very, very. I have the same ring.
No, sorry, that was my phone. It's actually a buddy calling me to play Pokemon right now, or at least, at the very least, to talk Pokemon. I'm sure.
I love it.
I missed where you ended on with that. Where'd you end on with that?
Oh, it was just like, you know, the performance issues are very noticeable, but they're not. They haven't ruined the game for me yet.
It hasn't ruined it for me either. Like I've noticed them, and I'm like, I hope you guys fix this, you know, in a couple patches, you know. But it's okay because I'm excited to play. So
yeah, like they showed it in one of the trailers, so I feel like it's not too much of a spoiler to mention it. But one of the gym challenges that you have to do before you can fight the gym leader is you have to go around and find these 10 Sunflora and get them to follow you. And even though they're like right behind you, they're moving at like maybe 5 frames a second, and it's not great. Like you
No.
for sure will notice it if you're one of those people where like you're like, this new generation of consoles needs to have every game at 60 frames a second. If you're one of those people, then this game is probably going to irritate you.
Yeah.
But I'm not, so it doesn't bother me that much.
Yeah, same here. Like performance doesn't generally bother me unless it's like it bugs out and I can't do something, which I haven't had that yet, luckily.
Yeah, I have had
but
one of my friends said it's crashed on him, I think twice now. I'm not sure what he was doing at the time, but I haven't run into that issue.
Well, thank God for autosave then. So
yeah, the autosaves are really generous too, I've noticed. So I don't think it should be too much of a problem, even if that does happen. Although obviously, like the game crashing is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
I also feel like it's weird because like Nintendo games in general, I feel like I almost never run into bugs in a Nintendo game. Right? You play Mario, you play Zelda. I can't think of a time that I've ever run into a bug in one of those games. So I don't know if it's just like specifically Game Freak that just like didn't have enough time to finish this game, because they put out 2 Pokemon games this year. I played 3, but I didn't finish Pearl until the start of this year. So almost 3 games in the last probably 18 months. So on one hand, like maybe this shouldn't have come out now. Maybe it should have been pushed until next year.
I think so too. I think they should have pushed it off 6 months and polished it up. Now, Game Freak uses their own engine. So they developed their own engine to build Pokemon games. So they're not using someone else's, which is part of the problem. And then second, I just don't think they're the best game developers. I think they're they're mediocre game developers, to be honest. I don't think they've ever made something outstanding. They don't make anything cutting edge.
It's really frustrating because, like, you know, obviously I'm a really big Pokemon fan. I play all the games, and probably by the end of the day, this is shaping up to be probably one of my more favorite Pokemon games, just because of all the things it does. But at the same time, you know, playing this game so close to a lot of the other games that have come out this year and have been just, you know, technical powerhouses and just really impressive. And like, I don't necessarily expect that from Nintendo games, because the Switch is already not super powerful. But even with that in mind, like, this is such a big step back from what other Nintendo teams have done with the Switch, that it is noticeable, and it's disappointing, because it's like, Pokemon is the biggest money-making media franchise in the world by a pretty wide margin. And it feels like that money is not going back into the games.
Oh, it's definitely not.
Yeah.
It's definitely not.
I don't know. It's kind of irritating, because it's like, you definitely have the money. Like, if it's a workforce issue, like, you definitely have the money to hire new people. If it's an engine issue, like, you have the money to license a new engine, or like hire people who are more skilled with the one that you have. Like, there's so many problems in game development are just solved by having a ton of money. And if you're the Pokemon company, you've got more money than pretty much anybody else in the games industry. So I'm not sure what the excuse is for the state of this game. And I'm still having fun with it, obviously, but like, it shouldn't be this way.
Yeah.
I got a couple of tweets. This is from Gene Park. It says Pokemon SV shouldn't get a pass for running like a dog. I won't go full Ron Burgundy there. And it's weird, and it's weird bad decisions. No camera speed, no clothing options, slow battle loading, no animation skips. But I also think it might be the most fun I've had with the series ever.
I think that's a pretty good summation of sort of my feelings towards it. Is like,
I think so too.
I'm really enjoying this game, but I'm still highly conscious of the fact that, like, this should be a lot better in a lot of different areas.
Andre Sagers from Game Explain says, say what you will about Game Freak, but accusing the studio that put 2 open world RPGs in the same year of being lazy is not it. There's obviously a lot of potential factors involved, both in and out of Game Freak's control, but lack of ambition is absolutely not one of them. You know, and I think they are relatively, from my understanding, it's not a huge studio. Game Freak is not a huge studio, and they do, you know, they have a lot of, they bring in a lot of subcontractors and things like that to help get these games off the ground. But I think honestly, it's heading in the right direction. We are seeing Skyrim level bugs at times where like I saw a tweet that said there's Dynamaxing is still in the game, and the person that was in their game with them like became enormous, right? I think you guys posted that, right?
Yeah.
And then I saw Jigglypuff just get yeeted into the atmosphere. I watched
That's awesome.
little deer just walk off a cliff. Like
that's probably working as intended.
Like, yeah, it's just we're seeing this Skyrim level bugs that are like, hey, this is kind of hilarious. And I hate the fact that the narrative is around all these issues, but maybe Pokemon Company will see that like they need to invest more and build that team up and get these games. I mean, imagine these games running on Unreal Engine, right?
Yeah.
Scalable to the Switch. And I mean, look, if you guys like it, like this is more of a Nintendo topic probably than anything else, but put these games on PC, right? Get them in the hands of more people and make more money.
That would be so cool, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, get to the point that like, I mean, you know, Unite is on mobile and Switch, but get to the point to where we finally have a Pokemon MMO where you're logging in every day. They're updating. Like it's time. It's time. I know this is probably all proof of concept, but I would gladly pay for regular expansions to be able to like level up my character, hunt Pokemon, battle Pokemon, like explore new worlds.
We can get to a Pokemon MMO because you can play with friends and you can collect and trade and stuff. Because like I feel the age of MMOs is kind of dead. What do you guys think?
I mean, I don't think that it's definitely not what it was when like WoW first came out and everyone was trying to copy that. But MMOs are definitely still really big. I mean, we hear about like Genshin is technically an MMO, and that's been really blowing up lately. Final Fantasy 14 is still huge. I mean, even World of Warcraft is still huge. People just don't really talk about it. I feel like it's less that those communities are falling off and more that they're just not really the spotlight anymore. Kind of like how League of Legends is like the biggest game in the universe, but
it's not an MMO, but
really
is it? I mean, it's not, but is it? Like I was playing League of Legends recently. You know, I played a couple matches because I've played it for a very long time. I don't really play it a lot anymore these days because I get too carried away. But but yeah, I feel like that game I kind of considered like an MMO when I first started playing it because I was still into a lot of MMOs. I know it's not at all; it's a MOBA, but like you play online with other people, you know what I mean, and you buy items, you know, when you kill minions and stuff. I mean, so like at the same time, you know, seems to me like this might be Pokemon's version of an MMO. I don't know that they'd ever give us like a World of Warcraft style MMO.
Yeah, I don't know that. Especially if it was coming out of Game Freak proper, I don't know that they would ever necessarily do that. I don't know if they have the manpower for it. What I'm hoping is because this has been the same thing that pretty much every review that I've been saying is that the game is really good, but it needs to run better, right? And I feel like because it already doesn't run well with the things that are in it now, I feel like there also had to have been a lot of other things that they wanted to put into it that were cut. And so I'm hoping that this will act as like a, you know, they're trying to step into this new almost genre of games with Pokemon right now. And I'm hoping that they're starting because they're very clearly bumping up to the limitations of what they're currently capable of. I'm hoping that this will give them the pause to like step back and look at it and be like, okay, what do we need to do to make the next Pokemon game more of this, to like what do we need to do with the engine so that we can have like the frame rate of Pokemon who are more than 5 steps away from you not drop to 2 frames a second, or like, you know, what can we do we already have a ton of Pokemon in the field. Can we do things where like they start to interact? Can we see like wild Pokemon fighting each other for like territory or something, right? Like there's a lot of really interesting stuff that I think that they can do and probably have ideas for, but because they're bumping up against this technical limit of it, it seems like now would be the time that they really need to either step into that next generation of games or step back to a version that still ran well, right? And I'm really interested to see which direction they go with it. Because if they put out another game like Scarlet and Violet, even though I really like it, if they put out another game that runs this poorly, I'll be very upset.
Yeah. I agree. So yeah, if this was like, imagine this being your first Pokemon experience, right? You're gonna be like, wait, why is it not like Breath of the Wild? You know? So
Yeah.
I think they need to step it up if they're gonna keep going this route. But the people in the cities, they kind of look like zombies too right now, and we won't even go down that. They kind of like they freeze and like it's just
Talk
pretty
to
bad.
most of them.
But what's not bad is the rival character Nimona. What do you guys think about her?
Oh, I like her a lot. A lot of the characters that I've run into, I really like their designs. I guess I haven't really interacted with them enough to talk about whether or not I really like them as characters at the moment. Nimona being maybe the exception to that, because I think she's great. Um, you know, the gym leaders that I've run into, the grass gym leader I think is a really great design. The bug gym leader is pretty forgettable, but I don't know, maybe when I go back for her rematch, she'll be different, or have a more interesting team or something. But basically every other character that I've run into has been at least a really cool design. So that's something.
Yeah, there's a water gym one that was kind of interesting too. So yeah, I guess I won't spoil anything. We'll talk that next time. So the water gym was kind of interesting. So you guys haven't done the Team Star content.
No, I'm bumping up against the fire gym, not gym, the fire star leader.
This is like I'm gonna talk a little spoilery about the Team Star content, but I'm not gonna spoil the storyline. I'm just gonna the mechanics of the Team Star content, because it is by far one of the most interesting things I've ever seen in a Pokemon game. So you know how you have the Let's Go feature where you can kind of throw them out and they go auto battle?
Yeah.
So when you go into a Team Star base, it gives you choose 3 of your Pokemon out of 6 and auto battle. And you have to go auto battle 30 guys in the base, 30 Pokemon running around the base. And you get 30 within a time limit, and then you get to do the boss fight. And that's as far as I'll go into the details. But it's cool mechanically. It's like nothing else, because then you also have the big Titan battles, which are like one giant boss you have to beat. And then you've got this, which is like based around the auto battling portion. And then you've got the traditional gym. So I like that there's 3 different things to do that are all very different. And the rewards are all very different for them too. And they all have a very unique story. As you'll find out doing the Titans, it actually has a really kind of heartwarming story behind why you're doing the Titans. And then the Team Star has like a secret agent kind of storyline behind it, where you mystery. And then you've got the traditional gym thing with Nimona being your cheerleader. And she comes on pretty strong, in the beginning of the game.
Yeah, a little bit.
She's like showing you around your room. She's like, that bed looks really comfy. Maybe you should sit down for a while. I'm like,
no, chill. Whoa, hey,
come on. Then she follows you to.
I'm here for education.
Yes. Yeah, that was kind of funny. And I feel like all the other people at the school, when you find them out in the wild, they've got like beards and stuff. I'm like, how old is everybody at this school?
Well, it's it's unclear to me, right? Because you definitely see like so many people just wearing the uniform out in public, and I don't know if that's because they just can't find other clothes to buy, like they graduated 10 years ago, but this is the only outfit that they have because there's no other clothes on the island, or if it's like what are the ages of the age range of this school, right? It's very strange. Where like one of the characters who you talk to very early on at the school is like, yeah, I go here, I'm champion level, and you're like, we're on the same class. And I have one Pokemon as level 6. So what are we? What's going on?
What's going on here? Apparently, like if you beat all the gyms, though, you are a champion, and there's all kinds of champions. Like Nemona's a champion too already.
Oh, okay.
And so, like, I don't know why they're doing something a little different this time with it, which is fine, I guess. She follows you around pretty aggressively, like most rivals do. And one of the gyms early on, she walks in and goes, oh, the coincidence I met you here. It's not like I was following you and waiting for you to get here or anything. And I'm like, dude. I don't know. Seems like she's kind of following.
Because I'm hoping, because early on she mentions, because like you said, she says that she's a champion level trainer or whatever, but she picks up a new low level Pokemon so that she can like go back through her journey with you, I guess. Mm-hmm. So I'm really hoping that at the end of the game you fight her original team and it's just like all killers. I really want to see what her team is.
Yeah, I'd like to see that too.
She's neat.
She does in one of the gyms. She runs in and says, let's battle, like before the gym. She's like, wait, I need to go switch out my team because I brought this one to beat the gym. So she says, I'll be back after. And she goes and switches her team out, and you go do the gym battle, and then you come out, she's ready to fight you. And I was like, that's like really cool neat. Because that's something like we would do,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say, for me so far, I think the gyms have been probably the least interesting of the three quests, where it's kind of just you go to a new town and then they're like, play hide and seek with me, and then you do that for a second, and then you have a genuinely still a pretty lackluster but like gym battle. It's weird to me that like there aren't proper gyms. Like you don't go into a room and then it's like, oh, this is a really cool design for the water gym or whatever, like what we usually get in Pokemon games. You just kind of go to the town and then you talk to a lady at the counter and she's like, you're gonna have to roll this ball into a net and then you can fight the gym leader. And I'm like, all right, dude, sure.
And I'm like around 5 gyms deep and it hasn't changed yet, so I'm not so sure we're gonna get anything super exciting.
Yeah,
Gym-wise. I think it's
I'm
just
hoping
what it
that the Elite Four is something, because I've met one of the Elite Four members already, and he looks neat. So I'm hoping that at least that feels like it has the pomp and circumstance that I'm looking for. Because right now, I haven't necessarily hated the gym battles. They've been fine. I think specifically the Bug Gym Leader, the first one that I did, was really disappointing, where her team was just very strange. But the Grass Gym Leader was I felt a lot better, both in terms of his design and his team. It still, was really easy to beat him, even though I was underleveled for it. But he was at least a step up, so I'm hoping that will continue, and like later gym leaders will be even more interesting. But yeah, it just at the moment it just doesn't feel like super exciting. There's also, here's something that's been irritating me. There's not an animation for like getting the badge. You just get like a picture.
Yeah.
Like there's no like big shiny, here's the badge, and then it like goes into your thing and you see like, oh, here's the slots for the other ones I don't have yet, like it has in pretty much every other Pokemon game. And it's like that's the like that's the energy I need. Like I need that to be like, yeah, I did it, and then like push me on to the next gym. And it's weird that that's not a thing.
Well, speaking of things that are there and aren't there, like new features like Dynamaxing, that's not there, except if you're a person in a bugged situation. But the terrestrializing, right? What do you guys think of that? Josh, we haven't heard from you in a hot minute here. What do you think of terrestrializing?
I like Dynamaxing a lot better. I think it's kind of corny. I think it's a little bit of a corny gimmick. I think the designs of like having chandeliers come out of the heads of Pokemon is just kind of like, yeah, it doesn't do much for me. Watching them walk around like that or whatever, like when I got all excited that I thought, like I said, I thought that was a shiny, and then like I had Crawler in my ear, and he's like, it's not what you think it is, calm down. I was like, I thought that was, why is it sparkling if it's not a shiny, like. So yeah, it's not my favorite, but that could change over time as I start utilizing it more and seeing how like it's going to play a little bit of a factor in competitive and stuff too, right? So I assume, yes,
yeah, like, yeah. So I've noticed, and I'm playing with 3 friends. All of them bought Scarlet. I'm the only one that got Violet for some reason, and we've all played all weekend, and we all battled every day. So we played and battled every day and played and battled each other in versus every day. So I've seen the versus and the battling, the competitive use now of terrestrializing, not in a ranked format, but I'll get to that in like 3 days from now. But for now, and just say, pre-level 50 battling, I don't like it that much. It feels kind of like it doesn't help me most of the time, because it actually removes, when I have a Lucario and he's fighting steel and I terrestrialize fighting, I lose the steel typing. So I'm pure fighting. So now I get hit by poison moves. To me, getting a small damage increase and losing a thing, like I could see how it could be helpful to lose a weakness, but to me, it's only hurt me in battle so far. It hasn't helped me.
Yeah, it's definitely that thing where I feel like it's a cooler idea than it is in practice. I think it's really interesting to be like, oh, well, I have this Pikachu, like the one that you were talking about from the mystery gift. I have this Pikachu, and he can turn into a flying type for a little bit. And it's like, that's really interesting mechanically. But when visually what that is that he gets a bunch of gemstone balloons popping out of his back. Like, I don't know. I don't like the way it looks. I end up not really doing it pretty much at all because for one, it takes a really long time. The animation is just way too long. And B, it just, I haven't found any I haven't found any use for it. Most of the Pokemon that I have right now, their terrestrialization is just that they're the same type. Then it also makes them a little bit stronger, I think. But it just feels so. It feels very unnecessary and like not particularly cool.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan. Let's compare it to what we got in other generations, right? We had Mega Evolutions, which was definitely cool and made you more powerful. It was a pure buff. Then we had Z Crystals. You get one ultimate move per thing, but it was a buff for sure.
Yeah.
Then we had Dynamaxing, which is 100% a buff. Like there's no wrong way to use it. And then we get this, where it's like it's removing typings from me, and you get small buffs, but I feel like it's hurting me half the time. Like I don't feel like this is really comparable to any of those.
Yeah, I definitely think that it's the weakest of the four. The Z crystals, like the Z moves, is probably the least involved one, where it's just like, hey, you basically get like an ultimate, you get one big attack, and that's cool. Like that's fine. That also wasn't super exciting, and Mega Evolution and Dynamaxing felt very much the same to me, where it's like your Pokemon's just going to get a different form and be pretty cool for a couple turns. So those ones I was fine with both of those. I don't know why they needed to be different things. I guess because one had to become very large because that was the gimmick. But
it's Godzilla,
Yeah, because Godzilla's fun. So like those two felt very much the same to me. So, but yeah, I think this is probably the weakest of those. And honestly, I really, unless it ends up having some really broken combination that you can do, I honestly don't know if it's going to become like a meta thing in competition. Of course, if it gets broken, they'll just ban it anyway. So honestly, I don't see it being a long-term thing.
Yeah, I definitely don't see it as a long-term theme at all. Obviously, because I think they dumped the last 4 things they've introduced. And if any of them could have stuck around, I wish it was Mega Evolutions, because it brought in new forms of Pokemon that had new typings and gave life to people like Beedrill. Beedrill's not competitive, but Mega Beedrill is. And Mega Gyarados had like some cool evolution, and like lots of them had cool fourth. Charizard could split into 2 different evolutions, Charizard Y and Charizard X. You had 2 Mega evolutions. That was cool stuff. I understand why Dynamax should stay behind because it was a gimmick, and I understand why Z Crystals should stay behind. This should definitely 100% stay behind. Let's get rid of this right now. Let's patch in a better gimmick.
Yeah.
We'll wrap up here, but I'm wondering for a future show, if we dig more into like the MMO or Generation 10 being kind of like an anniversary, if you will, right? What if we got to see a lot of these things come back? And so I'm gonna, because could you imagine being able to Dynamax and, like what if they even combined? Like, could you imagine having your giant Pikachu with crystal balloons? Like whatever the case may be, it could be some fun stuff, and it'll be fun conversation.
Yeah. Well, what
I'm
going
to leave a question. I'm going to leave a question on the podcast, in the audio version. On YouTube, of course, you can leave a comment. I'll pin a comment, but we want to hear from you guys. Would you like to see more of these come back? And Danny, you go ahead.
So one of the really cool things that they've been doing in the anime recently is that they brought back, there was a tournament for all the previous champions, and they all still had their own gimmicks. And so I think that would be really cool if like there was a DLC or another Pokemon game where there were people from all different regions. And so it was like, hey, if you come from Galar, then they know how to Dynamax. And if they come from, Kalos, then they know how to do Mega Evolution and stuff like that. I think it'd be really cool to like kind of pit the gimmicks against each other in that way. I think that'd be really interesting.
I'm here for it. We'll have a whole episode on it where we can talk about like how we would like to see what we would like to see from Gen 10, and if we want to see what we'd like to see in an MMO as well. I think it could be a really, really fun conversation. So with that, make sure to connect with us on all of our socials at PokeNews now, and answer that question.
Our Patreon is set up. You can go to our website, pokenewsnow.com, click the Patreon button. There's no reward tiers on there yet. We're still working on them. But if you just want to support the show in general, we're going to have some cool rewards coming out soon. And we appreciate that. Or just tell a friend about us, right? So
there you go. Perfect. So there'll be links for all that in the description here and the show notes as well. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye now.